Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, Grant Cohn, Jack Hammer. Pleasure to see you. The title of this show until about 5 minutes ago was Should the Niners Trade for Marlon Mack? And then reportedly they're going to sign Nickelback Buster Skrine. So let's talk about the news first, not some speculation or what they should or might or could have do. They did sign, or they're intending to sign, Buster Skrine. He's 32. He plays Nickelback. What do you think, Jack?
It's about as bad as you can get. Yeah, well, yeah, I think so. You might as well start getting your tickets to L.A. in early February. Get your plane ticket now.
That's right.
Or fill up the car and get ready to drive down. Either
That's
one
right.
if you're in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's a body. That's about as much as you can say. I mean, he's a 32-year-old Nickelback who gave up 78% completion percentage last year and a QB rating over 125. So
yeah, I saw that too. That's true. Now, the year before that in Chicago, it was a 59% completion percentage and a 91.8 rating. So maybe he's had some 2019 vibes.
There you go. Maybe it's his revenge tour this year.
So okay, here's his resume. He's 5'9", 187. He's 32. No, he's 32. He was a 5th round pick of the Browns in 2011 before Kyle was there, but he was there when Kyle was there. So I guess they know each other. How about that? Kyle just flipped open his Rolodex and called up some Nickelbacks he knew 7 years ago. So that explains that. He was on the Browns in 2014, started 16 games for him, and had 4 picks. So he was really good in 2014. That explains everything. There you go.
Yeah, Shanahan definitely likes to go back in time with guys that he knows, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's where he found K1. Same team.
Yeah, at least K1 was a good cornerback, though.
True. So that's what you need to know about Buster Skrine. Not exactly a game changer for the 49ers. This is something that's going to get them through. So, because the way I was looking at it is, if they didn't have a screen type on their defense, what do they do in nickel? What do they do? Who is the number 3 corner? It's Dante Johnson.
Yeah, it would be Dante Johnson most likely.
Yeah, and to me, we already know that's not quite good enough. I don't know if Buster Skrine is better. He should be better than Dante Johnson, shouldn't he?
Well, what I'm going to say, you just used a 3rd round draft pick for cornerback. Play his ass. Sorry for my language.
I like that too. That's a good point. Play his ass is a good counterpoint. One more thing I want to say in Skrine's favor. He has played. He's missed 2, 3, 5, 9 games in his 10-year career, but 4 were last year, and he's 32 now. So I don't know. I guess he's a body. He's kind of like the Drake. He's like Drake Kirkpatrick. Yeah, he had some good years back in the Obama administration, and now it's hard to say what he's going to give you. But yeah, well, how about Ambry? Can we? Yeah, let's finish all. Is Ambry that bad? I find it hard to believe that he's that bad. How do you even know? He had a couple missed tackles. He didn't play so great in a preseason game. Maybe you give him a shot, because we've seen Dante Johnson a lot. He's not a cornerback or a safety.
Yeah, no, just get him out there, let him play, and let him go. I don't see why it would make sense. Why it makes sense to bring in these guys that aren't going to be around beyond the end of the season and keep playing them instead of developing guys that could help you out next year, because you're going to need one of these guys to be a starter next year unless you're planning on making a big move in free agency or drafting and winning the 2nd round. Get these guys ready.
Exactly. I love how cavalier Kyle Shanahan is about the cornerback position. Like, he treats it like it's running back. Oh, I can find a corner. I mean, how hard is it to find a corner? They're like 5'9". There's a million 5'9" guys in the world. I could play corner. No, it's a very hard position to find, and Buster Skrine isn't good enough. It's not Skrine's fault either. But
no, not at all.
I was thinking they would get someone to play on the outside and move Diamador to the nickel, but no, I guess they don't want to do that. I guess they're not going to get Richard Sherman either, although it sounds like he could go to Tampa.
Yeah, no, I don't think Sherman would be there, but what they're doing right now, I mean, everything that's happening with this defensive back, we talked about this in June, that this could happen, where these injuries that are putting them in this situation. The Niners set themselves up for this with what they did, the way they built this team.
All I know is that the Seahawks probably had to throw out their entire game plan. It's like, oh my God, screen? Oh, well, DK, we can't run these routes. I mean, you can't. We're going to have to get you away from screen. We're going to do our best to get you. So, okay.
What they might end up doing is just running a bunch of screens towards screen. And that
there you go.
Might.
There you go. Okay, let's move on to what this show was originally going to be about. Marlon Mack. The Niners, the only position on the Niners that's worse than cornerback right now, I think, is running back. Is that fair?
Yes and no. It's fair. It's the top two guys are okay. I think the biggest issue the 49ers are having with their running game is the offensive line is not very good.
That's a good point. But it's depleted. It's definitely depleted. And, Trey Sermon and 3 practice squad guys, they should get Elijah Mitchell back soon. Still, Marlon Mack, he's on the trade block, I guess. He wants a trade. Do you think the Niners should trade for him?
I don't think so. The reason I say that, I just don't see they don't have very many picks to begin with, and even if it's towards they don't have very much to give up there because they lost one of their third round picks. They don't have their first, so I think they have 6 picks. But if you use one for a guy that's on a 1-year contract that you're not expecting to be here past this year, you're just giving away something for really nothing.
Yeah, the other thing about Marlon Mack is he tore his Achilles. So he was a hell of a player. He ran for 1,000 yards a couple years ago. He had like 1 carry last year. He tore his Achilles. So no, absolutely not. Not trading for a running back, especially one with a rebuilt Achilles. No. That would be an irresponsible move, I would say. Simple as that.
Yeah, especially with the way that this team has been constructed year after year with these types of players.
Right. Now, I understand why fans would be intrigued, mostly because they know Marlon Mack, and this is a need. So is there anything else the Niners can do? I floated earlier, wrote an article saying, why not Todd Gurley? I mean, I know he's not great, and his knee's probably 80 years old, but he's got to be better than freaking Trey Sermon or just as good. Is there a better option? Because running backs you can sort of find on the street at this time of the year. Is there anyone else better than Gurley? Can you raise my Gurley?
Yeah,
my Gurley and raise him.
I don't know. As far as the backs that are out there, if there's really anybody that's better than Gurley. Right. I don't know as far as the running back. I think I'd rather have them play the guy that they got out of Cincinnati than go with a guy like Gurley. They already have him on the roster. Let him play. Let him go.
Yeah.
Let's see what he can bring. He's a bigger guy, and maybe he can help out. But I think more than anything right now, the offensive line are just getting destroyed.
Yeah, my problem with what happened against the Packers is we learned nothing about Patrick and Kerryon Johnson. Sermon wasn't playing well enough to take all the carries, him and Juszczyk. I know that Kyle would say, well, we gave some carries to Debo. Okay, I'm talking running tailbacks.
Yes.
The way Sermon was playing definitely called for you to give someone else a shot. Why not 2 carries for Kerryon Johnson, 2 carries for Patrick just to see how they do and just get a look at them? Instead, no. So you're saying you're interested in Patrick. Makes sense. He's young. He played very well in the preseason. He seemed like someone who was a priority practice squad guy. I'd also like to see Johnson because Marlon Mack used to be good. Johnson used to be really good, and he had a knee injury and probably has about as much left as Mack. So those 2 guys I would like to see as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would make sense. I mean, they need to find something, and their right guard and center position is a problem.
Yes, it is. Yeah, that's a good point. Stick with that for a second. What are you seeing from? I mean, we know about Brunskill, but what are you seeing from Mack?
He's showing that he looks like a guy who's, what is he, 36?
Yeah.
Is that what he is now? He looks like
Staley.
Yeah, he looks like he's 36, and he's getting go and look at the first run of the game by Sermon on Saturday night, and Mack gets blown off the line of scrimmage. He actually gets pushed back 5 yards and back in. I mean, basically knocked into Garoppolo. And then the nose guard is the nose tackle is the one that chases Sermon down from behind because he just got a free run at him. And then in pass protection, he doesn't have the foot speed. He gets beat on edges quite a bit, just like what we've seen from Brunskill, and we've seen from the guy that was supposed to be Brunskill's replacement during practice.
That's right. Okay. Not a good Early return from Alex Mack. Christian says, will you be at the Seahawks game? I want to buy the Go to beer. Yes, but Jack and I will be working very diligently. Also, Jose will be there too. Shout out Jose.
There you go.
Working very hard. Merkin, thank you though. Merkin Avalo says, feels like after everyone resigned this offseason, resigned. See, you got to put the hyphen in there. That's resigned.
It is resigned.
That's something you learn as a sports writer. That means totally different things. All right. It feels like after everyone re-signed this offseason, Kyle thought they can run it back again because seems like he used this year's draft to plan for 2022. It does kind of seem like that, but I've never really seen a team go all in and plan for the future in the same offseason, right? Like the free agency was all about bringing it back, and the draft was all about 2022. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is actually one of our topics, and is this a rebuilding year? And this question right here is partly why I asked that question.
Let's get right to it. Is 2020 a rebuilding year?
Yeah, Merkin set us up on that one. That's a great comment right there because it really seems that way. I think they didn't feel like Lance was going to be a guy that was going to be able to start right away. So they decided to stick with Garoppolo, and that put him in kind of a little bit of a salary crunch. So they were like, let's just put the best team that we can put together
around Garoppolo.
Around Garoppolo. It's almost like, they had to come to the meeting and said, we're going to do this. The fans are going to love it. They're going to think that we're all in. So we're still going to be able to sell our tickets for 2021.
Easy to sell. Yeah. For
sure. And at the same time, everything that we do is going to be built towards 2021. When all these guys come off the books, we're going to have 20 whatever million in cap space extra when we get rid of. Yep. We're going to get rid of when Garoppolo's gone in 2022. We're going to have that additional cap space to spend, and then the cap's going up in 2023, and we're going to be right in the driver's seat. And it's almost like that's the direction that they've taken this year. It's very similar to what they did in 2018, right? Everybody was really excited coming off those 5 wins in 2017. And they made some moves in 2018, but they never addressed the big issue, which was their defensive end position. Instead, remember the karate kicker that they kept that Shanahan said that you just don't walk in and take his job. I can't remember his name. That's how good he was.
Yeah.
And
Cassius Marsh.
There you go. Thank you, Cassius Marsh. And that's where it feels like that's what this season really is becoming.
I'm with you. It feels to me like a little bit of a placeholder season. Like you want Trey Lance to be your franchise quarterback, but you decide he's not quite ready. So instead of just throwing him out there and maybe making him look bad or maybe losing and pissing off fans that way, you sell the hope of a Super Bowl return this year. And you make a lot of money off Jimmy Garoppolo's likeness, his number, his jersey, his bobblehead, and you sell as many tickets as possible. And you sell tickles too, and you make up for getting no revenue last year during the pandemic. Maybe this is a way to make some money back. We've paid Jimmy a lot of money. We got no money last year. Let's keep people in the stands. Let's sell Jimmy's jersey. I mean, we're not going to the Super Bowl. I mean, we struggled against the Eagles. Like right now, if the Niners played the Cowboys, I think the Cowboys would probably be favored in that. No one thinks the Cowboys are going. So yeah, I mean, it's looking right now like more of a playoff team than a Super Bowl team. Yeah. But you can sell that, and you can make a lot of money. And I wouldn't put money's good. I understand they lost out last year, so make that money.
Yeah, and everything they did with the draft all points to guys that are going to have to play next year. You're not going to have, Talanoa Hufanga is going to be a starter next year. We know that almost
Andrew's
for sure.
Going to have to play next year.
Yeah, Amber Thomas.
Banks.
Yeah, all these guys are going to be all those roles are places that are wide open. The running back room behind, Mostert wasn't re-signed for next year. Jeff Wilson's not signed for next year. Right. Yeah. Yes, correct. So, and that's why you have Jalen Moore and so on and so forth. Right. So everything points to this being a rebuilding year for the 49ers and them putting the best team together that they could on the cheap. And it's coming back to hurt them.
Right. And it's like, as opposed to, tanking or whatever, like they can't tank because they don't have a first round pick next year. If they have a 6-11 season or whatever, then that's just good news for Miami. That's just a top pick for Miami. So it is in the Niners' interest while they're developing certain players for the future to win as many games as they can this year because they get zero And this is what they get for trading up for Lance, and Lance could be special, but this is the situation they put themselves in. I guess it makes sense in that situation. If they had a first round pick, maybe they play it differently, but they don't.
Yeah. No, they don't. They went all in on the future with Lance, and that's who it's going to be. And this is all about trying to drive up Garoppolo's stock as well. And you can again sell him at the end of the year, hopefully for something better than a third or fourth round draft pick.
Yeah, I mean, in a super fantasy land, he wins the Super Bowl or wins a playoff game, and you trade him for a first round pick and get some of that Trey Lance capital back. But when pigs fly.
Yeah. No, we've had this conversation quite a bit. I never have thought that this team was a Super Bowl team. I thought that they had the potential to be a really good team, but I never saw this as a team that was going to be playing in February.
They will need a lot of things to break their way. And already with Mostert and Verrett, and now, who's the latest cornerback who's hurt? K1, Josh Norman. I mean, they're not getting the breaks they needed. They're already thin at their thinnest position.
Yeah, those guys are all what's that?
They're 2-1 though. Could be 3-1 next week. If they win the next 2 games, that would be gutty. But don't expect it. That would be quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, if they win this week, I think it's a bigger accomplishment than people might think. I know that Seattle's 1-2, but Seattle's 2 losses have come to good teams.
Yeah,
the 2 teams the 49ers have beat are bad teams.
True.
And we know the Packers are really good, and I think Seattle falls in that middle of the road category. So that's when Yeah, true.
For the Niners. So this is definitely. Yeah. I think this is an even match. Let's put it that way. It's definitely an even match. The Niners have home field advantage. I wonder, are they favorites?
I don't know.
Week 3 NFL lines. Vegas. Hold on, real quick. This is live television, exciting stuff. Hold on, it's not television. Wait a second. San Fran -3. See, people see it as a basically a toss up with they're giving the Niners a home field advantage. Okay, so we could do odds making. We just learned it. We did it.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
All right. The main thread says yes. Alex Mack is old, but he's still better than anyone we had at center last year. That is true. Hopefully, there's a successor in the works next offseason.
I don't know who that would be. They don't have a center. They have who was it? 64. I can't think of his name right off the top of my head. Jake Brendel.
Yeah.
He's their backup center. And he's on the roster. He was active.
That's the best thing you can say about Jake Brendel. He's on the roster. They're probably going to have to. I mean, the Packers got a really good center in the draft this year, Josh Myers. He's working out for them so far. He's a second round pick. Mm-hmm. And the Niners, I mean, that would be their first pick next year. So they also need a cornerback. They got things they need. So yeah, definitely they could get us. But if you want to get a good center, I mean, it's not quite as premium as a tackle, but it's an important position. Good ones, hard to find.
Oh yeah, especially that's the most important, one of the most important spots on the offensive line for the communication, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that was supposed to be one of the big parts with Alex Mack being on the team was the communication, but that broke down on Sunday night too.
True. At home, Domain Threat says if Kyle doesn't go with Lance coming out of the bye Colts game, the fan base might revolt. We're over Jimmy, the good and the bad. It'll be very interesting to see what happens if they lose the next 2, because just from real quick, like this show so far and the one with my dad, 85% of the comments are angry Niner fans. Which my dad was like, wow, they're 2-1. They lost 1 game at the buzzer. But I totally understand it. I think Niner fans are very smart, and we've duped this out from the offseason, and they kind of see where this is going. But they could win the next 2 games, so let's not go there yet. But Niner fans are thinking mentally, they've seen it. They've seen the next 3 moves, and they don't like them, and I understand.
Sure. Yeah, there's a whole lot that goes into that, and we'll have that topic eventually here today too.
But let them, I mean, they could absolutely beat the Seahawks at home, and they are favored to do so. AG says, can we put Ward in cornerback and start to Hufanga at safety? Would you do that?
I mean, that's that. If that he should be playing, he should be your nickelback if that's what you want to do. Why not? They're already playing Hufanga at safety right now. He's already playing free safety at times anyway.
Right.
He's shown the ability to play up front and back. For a week or 2, they might be able to get by with it. Leading into the bye, that's a better choice. What AG just said here is a better choice than bringing in Buster Skrine.
Yeah, you're right. And another thing is interesting. I didn't see Hufanga in the game on defense, and on the final drive when Norman's out and K1's out, and the Packers are in that, whatever personnel grouping they're in, and on the final play, it's 2 deep man under. The 2 deep safeties are Tart and Dante Johnson because Ward was down in coverage. And what I thought was interesting is Dante Johnson? Why
It
not
was
Hufanga?
Hufanga on the top right.
Was it
And
Hufanga?
yeah, so when they went into that, they were actually playing 2-man, and I didn't realize that until I
On
just
the
finally
final
got
play?
Yeah, I saw a little bit. I tweeted it out. I saw
I
it on
thought it
somebody else
looked like
tweeted
Dante
it out.
Johnson to me. I had it on film, but I'm going to have to go
Okay.
back and watch the all 22. Either way, that guy was late.
Yeah, so they have the way they lined up was they had on the top of the screen up on the left side where they threw the ball, they threw it against Lenore, and then Hufanga's the deep safety on that side. Dante Johnson is playing in the slot on the left side, and then that's where you see Jimmy Ward sprinting across the formation. He's trying to get over to the inside most guy in the trip side.
So Hufanga, who was in the bracket and was late.
Well, it was both of them. What's happening? They're playing man. If you watch the play, it's awful because Mosley's all over the guy on the bottom of the screen. Yeah. Johnson's doing an okay job on his guy. I don't know who the 2 rookies are over there just covering grass. It's just really bad. I don't know what they're doing. They're not even close to him.
Lenore had outside leverage and wasn't anywhere close, and Hufanga looked like he was playing really deep. Really,
yeah, I mean,
it was the easiest catch ever.
If Hufanga or if Lenore just plays man coverage like we've seen him play man coverage in training camp, for example, he's all over it. I don't know why he's playing off coverage. He turns, he runs, he gets his hips.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why?
And he's even having that. He has the help from the safety, but he's playing it like he's got to stay over the top. I don't understand what they're doing over there.
Like you'd be better off in trail technique, actually. That's the thing.
Yeah. Or he would have been better off doing what Mosley did. Just get up in his face, jam him, and run with him. You have inside help. In that situation, they're already at the 50-yard line. They only have to gain 15 yards on you. Play them tight. Play them like you're at the goal line. If they throw the ball 35 yards over your head, that's great because that's a big play. That's a tough play for the offense to make, is to throw the ball down the field like that, right?
That's a low percentage throw.
Yeah, the throw that they gave up was
high
percentage. I mean, there was nobody. It was a layup. There was 5 yards on either side of him when he was stopping to catch that ball.
Yeah, it was a slam dunk. It was a windmill. Yep. Do you think the Niners did Green Bay dirty when Jimmy Ward knocked out Adams? And if this is going to be a revenge, if the Niners play Green Bay and the wild cards are further down the
line? I don't know if they did him dirty. I mean, he was just making a football play. They just, I don't think he was trying to hurt him.
See, I didn't grow up watching Ronnie Lott. That was before my time. I think when your generation watches stuff like that, you're like, well, that's what football used to be.
Yeah, it is. That's
what it used to look like.
Yeah, that's what. That's what it used to look. It wasn't even like it wasn't. I mean, it was a vicious hit. Football's a tough game, but it wasn't like it wasn't like he was headhunting him. I think it was one of those deals where they were both just going for the ball and they collided, and it probably looked worse than it was.
Yeah, Lynch and Kyle are friends, and that affects the decision making. Kyle is insecure. He stays away from hiring veteran coaches. He is afraid to get replaced by them. I don't see it as that. I was agreeing everything. I agreed with everything you said until the end. He's not getting replaced by a veteran coach. I just don't think he likes people disagreeing with him. Some people are like that. Like, just don't. I'm smarter than you. Don't disagree. And he surrounds himself with people who all say, "Man, he's just the smartest guy." To a man, he's the greatest play caller. He's this and that. And it must feel nice, but Kyle's insecure. Well, that's a symptom of it. Yeah.
Yeah, so, it for sure is.
Yeah. Good call, Alex. It's interesting. I mean, I agree with all of your observations, and then your final clause was a judgment, and that's a different thing. But it's always interesting to psychoanalyze Kyle. It's always fun. Merkin Avalos, hey man, says just asking because it seems like the first 3 picks in this year's draft don't fit the Jimmy offense. Your thoughts? Yeah, absolutely. It's the Trey offense they fit. Zone read. Yeah, absolutely. The main threat, can't lie though, seeing Stafford and LA make all the throws this offense should be creating pours salt in the wound with Jimmy at cornerback. It just shows the difference between Sean McVay's decisiveness and Kyle's indecisiveness. Sean just went out and got Stafford. Was it the best move? Who knows? It's a good move though. It's working out. Kyle is like riding the fence. He's doing 2 things at once. And neither one seems to be satisfying him or the fan base.
Yeah, though this is and I would say it's an organizational thing. It's the Sean McVay and I don't know who the GM is down in LA. Les Snead, is that correct?
Yeah, let's need. Been there
So
long.
they're extremely aggressive, and they've been that
Yeah,
way since they got down there. They don't care about first round draft picks. They'd rather have veterans that could come in and play right now, and that's been the way that they've built their team. And 49er fans were laughing about this during the offseason, but
right.
it doesn't. First round draft picks don't pan out very often. They
Right.
just don't.
Look
And
at the Niners' first 3 picks this year. I mean, we can't judge Trey Lance yet, but he's not. The Niners say he's not ready to help, so that's not good. Aaron Banks isn't ready to help. That's not good. Trey Sermon, not looking good. I mean, this is why the Rams do what they do. Like, let's just avoid this and spend our picks on Jalen Ramsey. At least we know he's good. We can say we overpaid, but how is your second round pick working out this year? John and Kyle, like, is there risk in everything?
Well, look at what they've done. They've used their early round picks on big name free agents that are really good, and then they use their middle round picks on guys that they hit on.
Yep.
Very similar to the 49ers, right? The 49ers hit on all those guys in the mid to late rounds. They don't hit on their early round picks.
If they don't get fired, if they make the playoffs and Lynch doesn't get scapegoated or not scapegoated, just fired for what's going on, maybe just start doing what the Rams do. Oh, it's a little late because you traded all your picks for Lance, but in the future, maybe because what the Rams basically traded a lot of picks for,
Goff.
Well, for Stafford, for Ramsey, and
true.
Is there anyone else that they brought in? Those are the 2 big ones.
Those are the main ones that I can think of right off the top of my head.
Yeah, yeah, okay. And the Niners spent all their picks on someone who they didn't know about. It wasn't an NFL player. That's not what the Rams would have done. It's not what the Seahawks would have done.
Yeah.
El Jefe says, how about an all 22 on the defense this week? Terrible game. Put a bad Jimmy too. I will. We will. It's just it's not out yet. So bear with us. It was a Sunday night game. Oh, a couple more. Yeah, well, Bill Walsh was very insecure, well documented. So that's true. That's true.
Yeah, there's the difference though was that he look at the guys that he hired underneath him compared to what Kyle Shanahan's done. He was okay with, I think, people with being challenged, but at the same time he was the boss.
Yeah. Insecure in different ways. And Kyle expresses insecurity through arrogance.
Yeah.
Which I think Bill is different.
I think Walsh is in. I don't think if you didn't know Bill Walsh, I don't think you would have known about the insecurities. I don't think that anybody really realized that until he got older and it started getting talked about after he was gone from the 49ers.
It's true. It was like the press's secret. AANG said, Grant, if you were head coach, how would you handle it? I mean, Jack and I talked about this all offseason. I think the big mistake the Niners made was creating a quarterback controversy. You always want to avoid that. Why do you want that? You're just asking to split your locker room.
Yeah, that's exactly what, and that's what they did. You knew that there was a large contingent of veterans inside that locker room that like Jimmy Garoppolo, that believe that he's, can take them where they want to go.
Right.
And then you also have a group of younger guys who are like, this guy's never done anything for me.
Right.
And so they're ready to move on.
Am I no longer welcome here? Like, is part of the team, do they resent my presence? Because it seems to me that Trey Lance is like, his existence is because the front office kind of gave up on that team, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so they could be like, well, you know what? We don't need you. You were wrong about us. We're going to prove you guys wrong.
Yeah.
It's a referendum on them. That was the big word I was looking for. Trey Lance is a referendum on that team. You guys weren't good enough, and they're trying to prove, yes, we are. We're 2-1. We lost a close one. So we'll see. It's kind of like Major League, that movie.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Like Major League or Ted Lasso, but without the funny head coach.
Yeah, So that's how we would handle it. We would have not created the 2 quarterback system. That's, predictable that they would play out this way. What do you think about the refs this year so far? I don't think about the refs. What do you think about the refs?
I don't think about the refs either. I don't think they're, especially on Sunday. What was it happened on Sunday night that went against the 49ers that shouldn't have? The pass interference calls.
I was surprised they didn't, throw Jimmy Ward out of the game. Not that he deserved it, but football's changed so much. It looked bad. I thought they were gonna. So I thought they benefited from that one. Yeah, no, they
definitely benefited from some stuff on their offensive drive, but then until up until Garoppolo threw the ball backwards. Before that, they gave him a bunch of breaks.
Are we still playing the Nick Bosa gets held on every play game? Or is Niner fans done with that? Because
No, 49er fans are all about that. Even 49er the 49er equipment staff is all about that.
They are. Like, stop, man. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Amir says, I think I speak for all Niner fans when I say I'm done with Jimmy. You don't. Let me just say that. you do not speak for all Niner fans. I'm just telling you, I do this, and there's a lot of – anyway, let's just call it what it is. He sucks. He was never good, not even a 19. Amir, you came strong. I'll say that. But I don't think you persuaded one person who doesn't agree with you. I'm just saying.
No, he didn't.
But the choir you were preaching to was loving it. All right. Let's get back to that cornerback thing.
Mm-hmm.
When I do these shows, I often get super chats, people saying, should the Niners do this at cornerback? What should the Niners make a trade? Because it's a big problem and they're looking for a big solution. Clearly, signing Buster Skrine isn't that solution. And signing Josh Norman wasn't that solution. Mm-hmm. Is there a solution to the Niners cornerback problem at this point in the year? Like a short-term solution?
I don't think there's anybody that they can sign to come in that's going to help them out greatly. I mean, maybe Richard Sherman, possibly, but we saw what Sherman was like last year, and it wasn't very good. At least that's what most of us were saying throughout the season last year. We all felt that
5 games and it wasn't good. He was better in 19, yeah.
Yeah, we all felt like they were better off once he left the field and Verrett replaced him. I think, last year. He couldn't. In man coverage, he really struggled, and
we really forget,
yeah. But as far as this year, dealing with him right now, if Norman can play, Norman's good. I just want to see them play the rookies. Just they're gonna struggle, but I think they'll be better overall down the road because of
I think what fans would say is, well, what about a trade? There are probably good cornerbacks who will be on the trade market eventually. What about a trade? What I would say is usually good cornerbacks are expensive. Not having a first round pick is tough. And I guess so there's that. And there's also, is it worth it to spend more picks on this team?
I don't know if there's a top cornerback that's going to ever become available by through trade. Because if teams have often? Not usually, because if that's like a pass rusher. If there's a really good pass rusher, or they're not going to just give that guy up, especially what are the 49ers going to give up to get a player like that? They don't really have. Think about who the 49ers have on their roster. Think about what they have as far as draft capital. What are the 49ers really going to give up if they were going to say get the guy out of New England, for example, that everybody talked about earlier this year, Stephon Gilmore, for example, right? Do the 49ers even have the firepower to do that without weakening their team somewhere else?
Right.
If they're going to do it with players, do they want to get rid of their second round draft pick next year for a guy that's a 1-year rental?
No, absolutely not. Here's my creative solution to the Niners cornerback problem. And I don't know if it'll work, but I would trade a player for a cornerback. If it's a player for a player deal, I'd be interested.
Okay. Who you got?
That's about as far as I can take. Who would I trade?
Yeah.
Armstead.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, he's not he is a good player. He has value. Mm-hmm. That's why I suggest him. He's a good player. People would appreciate him, especially maybe teams that play more of a read and react 3-4 defense. I would rather have him. I think he'd be a good 5 tech. You got to get him off the edge. It's unfair to ask him to set the edge and to contain quarterbacks at all, in my opinion. Anyway, could you trade him for Gilmore? Trade him? DN?
I don't know if they'd go straight up with it though. That's the only problem. But you get a couple things there because that's a bunch of salary cap, that you're out of. He's going to cost him $20 million next year for Eric Armstead.
I'm just saying, I really don't have a lifetime picture of Bill Belichick taking on that contract. I just don't see it. But if you could trade Armstead for a corner, or someone that's good, but you doesn't kill you to part with it, he's kind of in that tier of player. Like, you want him, but if he could trade it for another good player, why not? Like, if I floated the name Bosa right now, fans would just be like, oh, take it back. So I'm not saying Bosa. I'm saying Armstead. I think that you could be okay with that.
Yeah, I think there's a bunch of reasons why Armstead is a good player to be trying to move on from.
Yeah. Okay. I think there was one. If there were 51 seconds left after the catch. Oh, there were 51 seconds left after the catch. Defense ended the game with a forced fumble sack on Cowboys, and Joe was a hero. D lost the game. Interesting.
Yeah, it was the same.
Yeah.
It was the same. It's funny that he says that because if in that game they were up 28-27, just like Sunday night. The Cowboys got out to midfield, right? And then because that's where they made the tackle on Drew Pearson, and then they sack him, and Jim Stuckey recovers the fumble, and they win the game. Nobody remembers anything beyond that.
And I think Joe Montana threw 3 picks in that game.
He did. Yes.
Wow. Yeah, I watched it on YouTube for the first time during the pandemic and was surprised by a lot of things. He was so athletic. The way he moved, the way he threw on the run, his arm. I mean, you think of him as being like Drew Brees or something. Like, no. He was really a hell of an athlete.
Yeah, he was a really good athlete. He moves, watch him. He moves all over the place. He definitely isn't just sitting in the pocket. He moves. And, his arm was, they said his arm wasn't strong, but I don't never really remember seeing him underthrow anybody. He never underthrew Jerry Rice.
And his spirals were just, what? He had clearly like huge hands. And the ball looked really small when he was holding it, and he could just manipulate it however he wanted to. Anyway, good point on that. I guess the only nitpicky thing I was going to say is, I mean, the D had his back when he turned it over twice, and they only gave up 3 points off that. And they ended up losing by 2. So if he hadn't turned the ball over, maybe they win that game. But Joe did turn the ball over 3 times against the Cowboys in that game, so that's a fair point.
Yeah, and I don't totally agree or disagree with this D lost the game thing. They did lose the game. You can't say that the defense is absolved of the blame. They definitely blew it at the end of the game, but the Garoppolo lost it for them. If you want to blame it on Garoppolo, he lost it for him on the backwards throw.
Yeah. Yep.
Because that became 3 points, and instead of it being 28-24, it's 28-27.
That's what I'm saying. So the defense gave it up. They lost by 2, but Garoppolo threw the ball backwards and essentially threw 3 points into the Green Bay scoreboard.
It's all over the board on this one. Everybody's trying to pin it on one person, and you and I talked about it last week after the Eagles game, and I kept saying how good of a team win that was. And this was the opposite. This was a total team collapse and loss in this game, as far as I take it.
Yeah, I agree. Q-Max says Jack Hammer should be a coach. His knowledge and eyes for the game are legit. He is a coach. He's just also now a beat writer, and which is cool. He's really attacking football from all different directions. But there's a reason why he's so perceptive. That it was guessing.
No, just guessing that, and I've been around football. I used to coach football a long time ago. Yeah.
Played, coached, a whole shebang bang. Carson says, I would trade Dre Greenlaw if he wasn't hurt. That's another name in that, because I mean, look at Azeez Al-Shaair can do a lot of what he does. Good point.
Yeah, that's a good name.
Yeah. If we want to get Stephon Gilmore, he's a free agent this offseason. Let's wait for that. And let's let the rookies play, let them develop, and sign a good cornerback in free agency. I think what Niners fans are feeling like is, let's win the Super Bowl this year. And if we can just get one good corner to replace Jason Verrett, we're right back in there. Because everyone knows after watching that Sunday night game that, DK Metcalf's going to be tough, and Hopkins is going to be tough, and all these. You can't just pencil in wins here anymore. Any team with a good quarterback and a good wide receiver. So, win now.
Yeah, everybody's trying to win now, and that makes sense. And I like what he's saying here. Yeah, go get Gilmore at the end of this year with that money that you're saving for moving on from Jimmy Garoppolo.
How good are the 2021 49ers, Jack?
I think they're a middle of the road team. I think they're probably maybe a 10 win team. When you look at them, I mean they just played a terrible first half against probably one of the best teams in NFC. Came back and they were in that ball game at the end. So that's the positive side to it. The negative is you can see all of their weaknesses. And a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers is going to expose those. And I think quarterbacks like Russell Wilson are going to be able to expose those. I'm not so sure about Kyler Murray in Arizona, but he might, again, these really good teams are going to expose their weaknesses, and that's what we've seen.
Right.
But I do think they're like a 10, maybe 11 win team.
Yeah, I'm thinking 10, maybe 9 win team, but I'm a little more cynical. Maybe I'm expecting more injuries or more bad luck. But yeah, I think basically we're seeing that they're a maybe not a mediocre team, but like a high level in between mediocre and good, somewhere in there, and more like battling for a playoff spot. Definitely a wild card team, I would say. I'd be surprised if this team won the division, even though they're only a game out.
Yeah, I'd be really surprised if they do. I mean, it all comes down really kind of, we'll know in 2 weeks, right? If they lose these next 2 games and they're 2-3, they're done with the division, because at that point they're going to be probably 2 games behind the Rams, maybe even the Cardinals, and they're going to have had already 2 losses within the division and 3 losses in the conference. If they lose these next 2 games, they're fighting for a wild card berth, probably the 7th wild card berth the rest of the way.
I think the loss of Mostert hasn't been talked about enough. I mean, we all know Verrett's loss is crippling, but without Mostert, he was the explosive element in the offense. I mean,
Yes.
Debo is too, but Mostert, you could just turn around, hand off, and he might go 70. And now that element of the offense isn't there. And I think against a lot of teams, inferior teams that won't make the playoffs, the Niners will find themselves in close games late. And they'll win them, but it's not like 2 years ago where they could just demoralize teams and make them quit. I don't see that yet being something they can do.
I agree with you. Mostert was the guy who they could give it to him, like say for example that first toss of the game to Sermon, where the nose tackle was kind of able to cut him off. Mm-hmm. That doesn't happen with Mostert, because he's just so fast. Yeah. And you see him run away from people. You would see him run away from people all the time. So they definitely lost the explosive element in their running game. Yeah. They kind of have that with Mitchell. If they give him a crease, he can do this. He can hit it, and he's very quick. Right. But he's out right now. Yeah. And the worst part about this team is they have not run the ball. You know, they ran 65 yards on their first 6 carries of the season. They had 65 yards, 38 yards from Mitchell. Since that time, they've averaged 3.1 yards per carry over the last.
What the hell is that? What the hell is that?
Yeah, they're
How
not.
How can this team be if that's what they're doing?
That's the problem. That's where the 49ers offense is. That's why I'm saying that they don't have the explosive element of the running game. Their offensive linemen aren't able to create push on a regular basis, so they can't get to the edge like they could with Mostert. So they're stuck having to kind of run more between the tight ends, and they're not getting enough push to be able to do that. Kyle Shanahan's offense is mediocre when you take out the play action pass element out of it. His drop back passing game is just run of the mill. Yeah. And you can see that all over the little bits of the film and stuff that I've seen of this game. I mean, people are talking about safeties playing at only 10 yards, but then you watch the routes that are being run and nobody's running past 10 yards.
Right.
So it's not just Garoppolo. There's other things that are going into play here that I think are limiting or why we're seeing teams play like safeties and things like that the way they are.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, Kittle's explosive. Ayuk's explosive. Debo's explosive. But the pass game really isn't, because to get explosive plays out of the pass game, those guys have to do it all after the catch, which is hard to do. It requires breaking tackles and it's hard. It's harder than catching the ball down the field. So it's a very New England Patriots-y type of offense. Very slow ball control, and their quarterback committed 2 turnovers in this game. So
and that's where you've got to, the interception that Garoppolo threw. I've seen people say that he should have gone in other places, but he threw the right read. The read, I think, on that one, they wanted to hit that deep shot to Kittle on first down. That was the play call. They were taking a shot there. He's open, and you watch the ball from Garoppolo, and that thing looks like about 3/4 of the way there, like it just like all of a sudden somebody turned on a big blower, and all of a sudden it just dies and starts to flutter. And that, I mean, the guy that intercepts the ball is not even in the coverage of the play. It's an amazing play by him, and it's just a deep ball that doesn't have a zip on it.
Yeah, that's why they didn't call those passes the first 2 games of the season, and that's why they shouldn't have called it in this game. Like, you've seen it. You tried it throughout camp, Kyle, Jimmy. It ain't there. It's not that. What was the golf metaphor? That club isn't in your bag. It's not. You're 30. You know what you got in your bag. That ain't it.
No, that's not there. The bag, the club that he's got in his bag is if they're going to try to go downfield, is on the the little leak routes and stuff like that up the sidelines where there's not quite as much traffic, and if he misses it, it's going to be an incompletion. But throwing the ball over the middle brings so many other people into it. and right now he just, he doesn't. Garoppolo never really steps into the ball and throws it. That's why you don't have that zip down the field.
Right. So really, I mean, he's a great fit for what the Patriots want to do on offense, which is ball control, move the chains, forget explosive plays, just execute. That's his style.
Yes.
But this offense is, I mean, since Kyle was in Atlanta, it's all been about big plays, all been about explosive in the run game and the play action passing game. And right now, you don't have either of that. So I don't really know what this team's identity is, Jack. Put it that way. I don't know what the 2021 Niners identity is. Offense, defense, run, play. What? I don't know. I guess they're working on it.
They haven't created one at all. They're mediocre. Right now their identity on offense is we're going to stink for the first quarter and a half, and then we're going to score a touchdown at the end of the first half, and then we're going to play good in the second half. That's kind of what their identity is. Well, because the second half, the last 2 weeks, they've kind of looked like the 49ers that we've come to know over Shanahan's tenure here.
Right, because they have good players who know how to win. I megoing to be winning these games, but really, they're not playing their best.
Yeah, no, and on defense, they're we're going to rush you off the edges out of this wide nine, and we're going to bend but not break.
Right.
Unless you have a quarterback that can break us.
And more and more teams do these days.
Mm-hmm.
Guess Jalen Hurts isn't as good as I thought. Sorry, guys. I got a little excited about Jalen Hurts. Man, I was watching him last night. Now, to be fair, I always make excuses for the quarterbacks I like. I think they called 3 runs for Miles Sanders in that game. Like, Nick, I hate you now. I used to like you. Now I hate you, Nick Sirianni. What is with these coaches?
Yeah, there was something that I saw on that today. I don't know what the stat was, but like Hurts was like 12 of 12 on some kind of plays. It was maybe, I'm not sure what it was. Over the first 2 games, and then in this game they didn't even do it once. Stuff like that.
I guess this is the disconnect. The way NFL coaches approach young quarterbacks is, especially mobile ones, is we got to teach you how to play from the pocket. We got it. You can't play for us until you teach it. You're not ready until you can play from the pocket. But I think the next evolution is, look, you may never be able to play from the pocket, but we can win with you playing a different style now. And if you never develop into that quarterback, I'll replace you. I will replace you. You don't have to be giving out the second contract to quarterbacks unless you have Justin Herbert. Like, the Chargers shouldn't be looking for Herbert's replacement, but I mean, you don't have to. What I'm saying is, you don't have to try to turn every mobile quarterback into Steve Young, because it doesn't work. You're not going to. Just be happy with what you got. Run the zone read as much as possible, and then if he doesn't develop, move on to get the next one who does it that way. That's all I would say.
Sure, like the guy in Baltimore. He's a perfect example. Yeah, he's a perfect example of what you're talking about. Don't even try to make him a and then when his contracts come up, you just kind of maybe trade him.
Trade him. Let someone else try to turn him into Brett Favre, but you don't have to do that. There are quarterbacks that come out that play that college style who can win. Unless you're like, no, Jalen, you need to stay in the pocket. Well, enjoy this loss. Take it, Nick. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because you're going to lose for sure. Anyway, I get all mad. I feel like it's kind of like watching basketball 15 years ago and having a player like Steph Curry on the court and a coach not letting him shoot threes. It's like, well, what's the point then, dude? Come on.
Yeah, and the thing is, there's
on your player.
There's so many of those guys that you're talking about in the college ranks nowadays that are more along those lines of what you're talking about, and it works really well in college.
Kelly. Ugh.
Yeah, well, you're rotating guys over every 4 years, so it works well there. And in the NFL, it's not quite as easy to do, but I see where you're going with it. It's too bad I don't think the 49ers have that guy when it comes to Trey Lance. I mean, he's going to be a good player, but he's not the running explosive running threat like a Lamar Jackson.
No.
But he's
bigger. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to the day that Trey Lance gets on the field for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, real quick before I really think that the most special thing about Trey Lance, if there is anything that's special about him, is going to be his play action passing. The zone read will be a nice addition to what he can do, but what's going to separate him, if anything does, is how he does play action passing. His skill set theoretically should allow him to do anything off of play action, anything.
Yeah, well, yeah, his arm would lead you to believe that he can hit all areas of the field.
We'll
yeah. The only concern I think that they have with him is his accuracy, but he's gonna. We'll see how that turns out.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of, well, did you want to do? What did we learn Sunday night, or did we just talk about that?
I think we talked to. I think we hit on a bunch of our topics there.
I think we just did. Okay, last one, and then we'll take more questions. What would it take for Trey Lance to replace Jimmy Garoppolo this season? Like, Jimmy's playing fine. His quarterback rating is 102, which is good. His numbers are good. He's 2-1. It's not about Jimmy isn't playing well enough. I mean, he definitely is limited, but everyone has. Trey's going to have limitations too with his accuracy and stuff like that. The question is, we all know, like, you're supposed to make this transition at some point. I think everyone assumes that Trey Lance is going to be the starter next season. So at what point do you just say, you know what, let's just embrace the future? I mean, obviously not if Jimmy wins the next 7 games, but what would it take to make the transition sooner?
I think the earliest you see it is after the Arizona game against Indianapolis, right? If they lose these next 2 weeks, that's kind of, at that point, I think you're really struggling to if you look at yourself after that week, you might be out of the division race at that point, even though it's early in the season.
Right.
And so why not make that switch at that point, especially if you're 2-3 and you're, the offense is as bad as they've been in the first half overall, their offense is still scoring. They're still the top
points a game or something like that.
Yeah, they're still like the eighth highest scoring team in the league, or 9th, right in that range.
That's a mirage though, because in this last game they averaged 4.6 yards per play, and the game before was 4.5. Like, that's that would make Jeep Christ blush.
I know, and I understand that, and especially like in the last game, I think the hard part about the averages though, just like to kind of to say this, is that you've got a lot of negatives and positives. Like that's like people who try to tell you that the 49ers run defense is good based off of the yards per carry. True. And then you go and you watch it, and the 49ers give up 10 carries of 5 or more yards in a game out of 16 or something like that. But that's true. the average yard per carry is only 4.
That's a good point, because there were a couple negatives in there. That's a good point.
Because there were a lot of there's a bunch of negative runs because they weren't running the ball very well. Yeah. And stuff like that. No, but I'm with you. I think the offense is somewhat pedestrian, and there's definitely what you're saying there. There's 41 of those points came in the first game of the season.
Yeah, and 31 of those came in the first half of that game.
Sure. Yeah. So, there's definitely some issues. They put up 28 points, but I think if this continues, I'm not even
saying Jimmy's the issue. Like, his limitations kind of have a domino effect, but I would give him. I graded him as I gave him a B through the first 3 games. My dad was harder on him, gave him a C, but I think he's been fine the first 3 games of the season. It's not even his fault.
No, I think if you graded him, I think you guys are, probably right between what you guys both graded him. I'd say probably a B minus, C plus in that range. He's played. He's not the reason that they lost on. He's not the reason that they lost on Sunday night, and he's not the reason that they've won some of these. They won on.
Yeah, that's true.
And stuff.
That's true.
He's just Jimmy Garoppolo is who he is.
One way or another.
Not really. I mean, he's just a guy.
Yeah.
And he's a flawed quarter. I say the
quarterback. Yeah.
Yeah. I say it probably too often, but he's a flawed quarterback, and he wins a lot, and he kind of keeps his team in the game. And, he just, when he plays, he usually, for the most part, especially when he's not hurt like he is now, he competes his rear end off.
Is there a quarterback from our childhood that was similar? Some quarterback who's really not spectacular, but just had a knack of winning for like 4 or 5 years. I can't. The whole Jimmy experience is very weird to me, because you can't really argue with his results most of the time, and yet you can nitpick him to death. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'd have to.
He's better than Dilfer was, right?
Yeah, he's better than. I would say he's better than Dilfer
was. Dilfer won for a while.
Because Dilfer only had I think he only had one good season where they won a lot. I think other than that they were. I don't know. He's winning quite a bit.
He's not Kurt Warner. He's not that good. He's not.
No.
I
would say no. He's not. Wait, Tony Romo. Tony Romo had to carry the team, so it's a little bit different.
He's not Tony Romo either. I don't know. Anyway, if anyone has a good 1990s comparison for him, that'd be interesting. But okay.
I used Jeff Garcia last year because I do see a lot of similarities in the fact that Garcia on that team, he had Terrell Owens kind of carried him a little bit, and he got better as the season went on. So maybe it's
Garcia
more of
was better than Garoppolo.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying.
I will die.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. He was. That's why Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy
He can throw
Garoppolo's
downfield too.
Jimmy Garoppolo is never going to be even in the conversation for the Hall of Fame like Garcia is.
No.
So,
No.
no, I mean, I'm just trying to come up with somebody who won a bunch of games, but even Garcia wasn't even a 500 quarterback. So, I don't know, it's a tough one.
Jimmy Garoppolo is like if Drew Brees were really handsome and wasn't that obsessive about it.
That's a good one.
You know what I mean? It's like he has Drew Brees' skill set, but not his drive, obsession. And that's part. I think you need to have that maniacal drive to become a great quarterback. Those guys seem very strange, very weird. And I think Jimmy seems very down to earth and normal, which is what a lot of people like about him. And I think it's what I knock about him. And it's probably a strange thing to criticize someone. You're too normal. You need to be more obsessive about your job, like Drew Brees. But yeah.
I think Brees.
Drew Brees, like, you know what? Should I look at the playbook or go to the club tonight? I'm not saying he goes to the club all the time. I don't know. I'm just saying I think he goes to the club more than Drew Brees does.
Yeah, that's like the 2008, 2000 through like 2012 version of Drew Brees though had a better deep ball than Garoppolo's ever had. If you think of Drew Brees as an older guy, I
can't even give him the Drew Brees. Yeah, I don't know. We need to go through these real quick and then.
But let's just finish this off though. That Lance,
go ahead,
Lance, as far as Lance replacing, we started answering, then we got off on a tangent. But I think he replaces Garoppolo if once the season's lost because they've just lost too many games, or Garoppolo gets injured. I think those are the only two ways. Shanahan's shown that he'll stick with a quarterback even if they're losing, if he thinks the quarterback's making the right plays. He did. We saw him do that last year with Nick Mullins.
I really want to see Kyle do that. Look, I don't want to see the Niners go up in flames this year because they did that last year, and it's not that. I mean, it's exciting when the first explosion goes up, but then fans lose interest, and I'd rather them be good, honestly. Mm-hmm. But if they do, if this season if they're 2-3 and then 2-4, and Kyle won't make the switch, Niner fans are going to be pissed, and they're going to take it out on him, not on Jimmy, on Kyle. And I think we're starting to see that right now. Like everyone's like, you know what? Jimmy battled. Give Jimmy credit. Sure, Jimmy is who he is, and we know that. But like, Kyle, what's up, man? Like, where's your offense? Where's your decision? They're going to turn on you, so you can keep doing what you want to do. His answer to me that one time, that's what we want to do. Okay, keep doing what you want to do. You're going to have less support from your fan base if this goes that way. So I'm curious to see. Like we already kind of assume that he's buckled to the locker room's wishes. When are you going to buckle to the fan base's wishes, or will you be like, whatever? I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny. I've gotten some chuckles over the last couple of days watching things that people are saying about Shanahan. Because it's like, man, I've been telling you guys this for years. Especially last year, and people kept telling me I was crazy, and it was everything else. But
real quick, Ted H on Twitter, who I don't know who Ted H is, but everyone knows Ted H on Twitter. I mean, if you say something about Jimmy Garoppolo, he'll get in that thread for days and argue it out. Good guy, though. Anyway, I wrote something like, Lance cannot possibly be worse than Jimmy based on some stat. And he wrote in and was like, well, he can, but he can also improve, and Jimmy's not. I say make the switch. I was like, one loss?
One loss.
And you're riding me about this thing, and one loss and you're out? Man, that's Niner fans are fickle. That's crazy. I didn't even see that.
It was fantastic.
I was like, wow. Harsh Patrick says, wasn't there a holding on defensive lineman in that second to last catch by Devontae Adams, Bosa being blindside? Why aren't the refs calling those? It's not a Niners loss without that. Thank you. I was waiting for that.
Yeah. I actually had somebody asked me that question. Somebody asked me that question earlier today too. Is about the chips, or is the NFL eventually going to make those illegal? I don't
because they're making Bosa look bad. You definitely should make that illegal. The Bosa rule. John O says, even if they bench mediocre Jimmy and plug Lance into KS system, will he use him like preseason? Try to make him a pocket passer? At what point do we blame Kyle Shanahan? But there was also the Raiders game where he used him as like the designated hander offer.
Yeah.
There was that.
Well, yeah. I don't know how I'm. That's partly why I'm kind of wanting to see. I don't know how much this offense changes with him in there.
It should. I would think you would go downfield more, move the pocket more. And again, when I say move the pocket, you don't have to roll out a guy and cut the field in half. Just a half roll, and the way you can set up is a peel back block is what they call it. It could be a guard, a tackle, a tight end, someone else who basically sets up a new pocket in a different spot. Just move around. So you're basically Where's Waldo? You're whack-a-mole. You don't want to be in the same spot every time. You're whack-a-mole. And you already, that's what they did on the Sherfield throw. It was a half roll to the right with Dwelly peeling back, reset, roll to the left, throw back to the right. He can do this. I'd like to see that. Yes.
Yeah. And we saw him do a play action on the first touchdown throw that he had in Detroit. And then Sunday night, we saw him do a full out on rollout to his right and hit Ayuk in the hands and dropped it.
Real quick before we move on. What the hell was that in the final preseason game? What was that? Why did they do what they did with Trey Lance? Just to troll? Was that trolling?
I think it was
their time trolling people in a preseason game.
No, I think what it was is, we've seen them do that now a little bit, right? They overdid it in that game.
Okay.
I think it was just a matter of being in a game situation, and we want to throw you guys in and out just to see how just to get you used to being going in and out. This doesn't matter.
Well, it could have been an experiment. Let's see how it feels. And maybe they so what'd you think? What'd you think? I didn't like it. I didn't like it either. Okay, good to know.
Yeah. There could have been things like that. Yeah. I think that I think more than anything, they were trying to get a feel for just that whole, the process, the mechanics of it. Yeah. More than anything else. Because Shanahan said at halftime of that game, when the reporter asked him if that's something we're going to see going forward, he said it right there that no, that's not going to happen during the regular season.
True. So why? Anyway, Kyle, you are doing a great job of trolling the entire world. You've been doing it since, I want to say, February. Now I think you can switch your focus to coaching.
Oh, yeah.
One game. Dude, you should have won that game, though. That's the thing about it. The Niners are 2-1, and they have problems. They should be 3-0. Like, if they take 9 seconds off the play clock before the touchdown to use check. Or remember what they used to do? They used to be more tactical on special teams. They would not just kick the ball into the end zone. If they wanted you to waste time, they would have like a low line drive kick that hit the ground and force someone to pick it up. You don't see that anymore. And then D'Amico Ryan's calling zone on the first play. I don't understand that. But yeah, they should have won. They should have won this freaking game. Seeing your face in the press box, watching them lose it was priceless because you couldn't freaking believe it. You were standing there like you were the coach. Like, how did I let this happen? No, Jack, it wasn't you. I don't know how they let that happen, but it was that feeling like, wow, that's a tough one. That's a tough loss.
Yeah, no, I was
that way didn't lose by 50, didn't lose by 20.
Yeah, no, you said that to me, and I remember, and I was just thinking, like,
standing there with your hands in your pockets, watching the field, and no one was on it. I was like, man.
I was trying to get my thoughts around the game. I was replaying the game in my head with certain pieces of what had happened.
Anyway, I wasn't saying you were looking at it like a fan because you obviously weren't. It's just it reminded me like that's a bad loss. Like, whoa, that happened fast. It happened real fast, and now it's over. And wow, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, how did this happen? The whole game. When you go back and replay that whole game. Yeah. I look at I look at the game differently, and you know that. So
yeah, John says teams are there. Teams use their stars. Kyle Shanahan, use our stars, bro. Well, at least he got Ayuk on returning punts. I will forever take.
Yes, that is one of the positives for sure.
11 yards of return. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
keep it up, Brandon. Making a guy miss every time. Loving it.
Yes, I thought he was going to take that one for more than he did.
Is Miami willing to take Jimmy for a corner? I don't think so.
Take Jimmy for a corner?
How much better than Jacoby Brissett is Jimmy really? He's better.
He's better.
You got to pay for that. You got to pay for that upgrade. You got to pay for that upgrade.
They wouldn't want to do that because Jimmy's better than Tua at what Tua does.
True. That is true. That would create the situation
that they're at now.
Yeah. Screen is. Thanks. If Dantzler for real wants a trade, please, John, please. I think they try. No, they're not. I don't think they're going to trade any serious. I think what they're trying to do is get picks back. I think that's their focus at this point. I could be wrong. Kevin Jones is now a new member. Wow.
Nice.
Kevin Jones? Dang. Blue Wire Kevin Jones or
just some other Kevin Jones?
Regular Kevin Jones. No, I'm just kidding. Jesus says, Kyle needs to learn how to adapt when the running game is not working. Put in Trey Lance and watch the defenses tremble and be confused. That's what I've been saying the last 2 weeks. Okay, your running game isn't working. why don't you do what you did in the Raiders game where you just brought in Lance and let him hand off? Like, you've already done it once. I know you've thought about it. That's exactly when I would do it. Okay, like I don't want to use Lance, but my running game isn't working. I mean, he was a decoy on a sneak. He's a decoy on a handoff. Why not?
Yeah, that decoy on the sneak that was pretty sweet too. You got to just stand there and do nothing.
That was great. He really executed well on that play.
He did.
Kevin Jones says, with the Seahawks looking less than stellar, what are the chances the Niners will beat them?
Yeah, we talked about this one.
Favorites.
Yeah, 50-50, I think.
It's a very even matchup. Both teams have major issues on defense. I just wonder if if this is an offense game, do the Niners have enough offense to keep pace with Hall of Fame quarterbacks and all-pro wide receivers? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Know. Do you have an initial feeling on how this game's going to go? Because
I don't really right now. I think it's going to be a lot tougher game than most 49er fans think, just because they've seen the records.
Chewy says Jimmy equals Trent Green. That's
a good one.
Trent did have some years where he would win.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Kansas City that he went to and had some good years. Him and Dick Vermeil. I could be wrong.
Yeah. No, he did. He did.
And he was a long time backup for a while. Trent Green, Chewy, my guy. Hey guys,
I've been agreeing with him too much lately.
Yeah, I like Chewy. Have you guys watched the all 22 of Trey Sermon's carries? It'll be interesting to see a detailed breakdown of his first start. But when we get our hands on it, I've already put in the request to my plug. We'll see what happens with that.
Yeah.
Anything else? One more. I wonder what Kyle has over Jed to be able to do what he's doing with this team at this point in time. Man, Niner fans are pissed. Niner fans are pissed. Wow. Guys, I'm the negative one. But they only lost one game. They certainly could win next week.
Yeah. Well, this whole thing will be different if the 49ers win on Sunday. It'll be a completely different story the following week. It's been brewing all off season. It's been brewing with all the stuff with Garoppolo still here, the Lance deal and everything, and it's been brewing. It's just, this is the point where Shanahan he's starting to lose the rope. Yeah. That's part of why I think he doesn't play Lance too. Is if he plays Lance and this offense looks as bad as it has, where do you go from there?
No, he looks incompetent at that point. And yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
But I think what's going on too is with Kyle, Niner fans are really smart. Bay Area people are very intelligent and educated. And I think he plays into that. Like, yeah, he had a bad record, but people understand his narrative, right? Like, took over a bad team. He's building. Bill Walsh struggled at first. Like, everyone understood where he was coming from, and they were following his moves. You did this for this reason. It makes sense. Don't judge him on his win-loss record. You have to really see what he's doing. And I think Niner fans are lost at this point. They're like, dude, you lost me. I don't get it. I don't know why you moved up to 3 and now you're playing him. At this point, you're just going to have to show me with results, because I'm no longer following your train of thought. And the results, it's like they're 2-1, but it's a shaky 2-1, and the offense doesn't look good. People are like, Kyle, you're losing me. So yeah, Kyle, if you want to fill fans in, that'll be a good time because you're losing them. I mean, all you got to do is watch the comments here.
Yeah, no, that's you make the move up to 3, you take a quarterback, and then you sit him, and you continue to stick with the guy, and there's no end in sight to it, and you've lost. So now that they lost a game, it becomes even a bigger issue. It all plays together.
You're lucky that the offense put up 29 points, because if they lose a game and they only score like 20 or something, it's going to be deafening. Even if Jimmy played well.
Oh yeah,
because that's the way it goes. Again, this is if the Rams had decided we don't like Goff, so we're going to trade up for Lance and keep Goff. We'd be laughing at them.
Mm-hmm.
We would.
Yeah.
But it's happening here, and so we're being more respectful because we're not. But privately, it's like.
Yes.
Hot take. I'm starting to think that it's not Trey, it's Kyle that's not ready. I'm telling you, Kyle, you are losing. Your approval rating is dipping hard. His scheme might not be deep enough yet. He has a rep to maintain. Kyle, you better do something about it. You better get your PR staff on this quick. Your agent. You got to spin this, man. I don't know. Mm-hmm. People don't follow your moves anymore. They used to get it. And if you lost, they'd be like, okay, well, he tried to do this. The guys were open. He was right. Now they're like, I don't know, man. He didn't like Jimmy. Now he likes Jimmy.
Yeah, what's he doing?
Brian says, if we fire both Lynch and Kyle needs to go. Which GM head coach candidates do you see as options to lead the Niners in the future? Oh, man, we're way far away from that. But If we are looking for offensive coaches, the guy in Carolina is quite intriguing. He's younger than me. He had success at LSU with Joe Burrow and now with Carolina with Sam Darnold. Now, it's 3 games. Let's reevaluate at the end of the year. And even if, we're not having that conversation yet. But that's a guy, like, if I were an owner, I would always have 3 or 4 coaches that I'd be looking at. Like, I'm not loyal.
Yeah.
You're not my wife. You know what I'm saying? I got 3 or 4 guys I'm always looking at, I'm interested in if it comes to that. And that guy's on the list right now. Also, probably Lincoln Riley, Oklahoma. He seems to understand modern offense. I'm just saying that's a guy that I'm watching. That's on the radar.
Sure. Yeah, and you know it's like any profession. If you're in that owner's spot, you need to have a bench of guys that you're making. You're writing down that you're going to be interested in eventually moving for. You don't make a move without having somebody in mind. You shouldn't, unless you're firing Jim Harbaugh.
5x7 index card in the top right corner of the drawer with 4 names on it. 4 names, just in case.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
List. Yeah.
Yep.
Plot twist: Shanahan wants Trey to start, but the Yorks want Jimmy to finish the season. Thoughts? So dysfunctional that we have conspiracy theory after conspiracy theory after conspiracy theory. This one is juicy, and I love it. I think it's certainly plausible. It's as plausible as any freaking theory out there. Is what I want to say. Sure, could be. I don't know. Niners, the Niners do such a good job of controlling the narrative of their team. They're way removed from New York. They're all the way out here on the West Coast. The East Coast isn't even really paying attention. And frankly, I think the rest of the league and the nation wants the Niners to be good because it just expands the map of relevance for the NFL. And they do the local media is not very tough on them. They control the narrative. Right now, Niner fans are waiting for some direction. It's like they're walking around and there's no signs. Here is where we're going. Here is the, I don't know.
The direction right now, where nobody knows where it is.
Right. It's like they all lost their GPS. Sugar Shane says trade Jimmy to New England for Gilmore and sign Gore and Sherman and salvage a season. You got a life-size picture. They got their Jimmy Garoppolo. Mac Jones is Jimmy Garoppolo with a less handsome face and,
fifth of the cost.
A healthier knee.
Yeah. And a lot cheaper.
A lot cheaper. They got him. It's over. Anyway, that's the show. That's a hell of a show. These shows are getting lengthy, man. People are extending them. I respect it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, they definitely are. I went on this morning just to do a little thing, and I ended up on there for 45 minutes. I thought I was going to be on there for about 15. Shoot, on Saturday, I was on for an hour, almost an hour and a half. I was expecting 10 minutes, but people started getting into it, and before we knew it, we were talking about Seinfeld. But
nice. Now that it's actually on television, people can watch it. LaRon says, Niners fans too emotional after a loss. We all know what Jimmy is. Lost a close game to a Hall of Fame quarterback. Lance is coming. Offense does have to score 30 points a game. LOL. Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's fair. We really crushed D'Amico after this game. He was going up against Aaron Rodgers without his starting corners. Predictable outcome. Not to say that he's a good DC, but he's an inexperienced DC going against. Well, yeah, it's predictable, and I like overreacting. It's fun. Come on, LaRon. It's not that. Get with the program.
I understand the whole Aaron Rodgers piece, but how many times can you watch Nick Bosa and D Ford getting chipped off the edge without making any and just keep putting them in the same position over and over and over again? I mean, those last couple of plays at the end of the game, they were so vanilla with what they were doing. It was awful. The last play of the game, just to go back to that one really quick, both D Ford and Nick Bosa get completely destroyed on chips at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah,
both of them.
Yeah, and it's finds a solution, D'Amico. If I had said before the game, if I had made a video and put it on YouTube, prediction. The 49ers will have 1 sack and 2 quarterback hits against the Packers. It would have gotten downvoted so hard. It would probably have a 20% like, and everyone would say, you're just looking for attention. This is the worst of Grant. What are you talking about? And then it happened. And people are in shock. Well, it was just one game, or I don't know what happened. No, it's a catastrophe. And if it keeps happening, it's a catastrophe. And this wouldn't be happening if Robert Saleh were here. Figure this out. You have way too much talent in your pass rush for that to ever happen, let alone against that offensive line that was banged up.
For sure. There was, you're right. If you had said that before the game, people would have called you a hot take artist and everything like that. I mean, I tweeted it out during the game and people are telling me that I don't know what I'm watching. I'm pretty sure I had a pretty good feel for the fact that they weren't touching the quarterback. And the team that was playing their third string left tackle was doing a better job of protecting their quarterback than the team
that
had their starters.
Yeah, that's true. All right, nope, 2 more. You guys, looks like another BS excuse-ridden season. Kyle needs to win or kick rocks with the excuses. No one wants to hear that BS. Niner fans, I love you guys sometimes, man. Sometimes Niner fans kill me because I used to be a Niner fan, and sometimes there's like too many excuses, and you just take everything that the team sells you, and I'm like, guys, come on. But right now, 2-1, and this is how you guys feel. I love it. I love it. This is quality control, Kyle. We all want the best for you. Take this in a good spirit. Quality control. You're on the team. I see. I just hired you.
That's right.
The right spirit, the right heart. Niners played first half versus Lions, second half against the Eagles, and second half against the Packers. Would they be better if they played an entire?
So they played a game and a half so far this season.
Play the whole game.
There you go.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great place to end it. Thank you very much, everyone. The show is over. It was a pleasure. Jack, thank you.
Thank you.
Hopefully we can link up later on in the week and do some film. So we'll see what we can find.
There you go.
All right, guys. See ya.